we have taken a very big interest in the dysfunction of some of the metros in Gauteng, where we are based, specifically the city of Johannesburg, which is, as I've called it many times, Gotham City. It's a city I've grown up in. I've watched it at peak. I've watched it decline. I'm not blind to the shortcomings of the city of Johannesburg. But it is a city that for the last 10 years has been absolutely let down by the people that are meant to serve the city. So rather than me bleating about the city all the time, I thought it'd be a great idea to get a very, very good confidant of mine, a friend. I call him a friend. We've actually met in person for the first time. And that is somebody who served on the Joburg City Council for 20 years. And that is John Mendelsohn, ex-DA City Council from 2000 to 2020.
That's right.
John, welcome to the State of the Nation.
Thank you very much, Mike, and greetings to your viewers.
Now, you and I have, we chat about once a week or so, catch up on some of the stuff. You watch a lot of what we put out. We agree on a lot of things. We disagree on one or two things. And we take often look, because of our hairstyles, I think it is, that we look at some of the historic reasons that got us here.
Right.
But I want us to do a couple of things. And I want you to first, let's get into the details of what a councillor does. What the councillor, we keep on hearing, everybody blames the mayor, we blame political parties. But at the end of the day, when we go to local government elections, we vote for a councillor. And when there is sewage running in the streets or my tire gets burst in a pothole, I say that the councillor is useless. Right? That's kind of like an easy go-to.
Yes.
Explain to me whether that's the right or the wrong thing to say, and what can a councillor do and what can't a councillor do.
Mike, one cannot blame the public for being very frustrated, for being very irate, and for wishing to curse their ward councillors. But what the public do not know, and what I want to make abundantly clear, is that councillors are very limited and circumscribed in what they can and cannot do. We have a piece of legislation called the Local Government Municipal Systems Act.
Right.
And in that act, there is a code of conduct for councillors. There's also a code of conduct for municipal employees, which we can get to a bit later.
Okay.
But I want to briefly explain to you and the viewers what a councillor is supposed to do. Right. The general conduct of a councillor is to perform the functions of office in good faith, honestly and transparently, and at all times to act in the best interests of the municipality. A councillor must attend meetings of the municipal council. Leave of absence can be granted in particular circumstances. But a councillor, once he is attending a meeting, cannot withdraw and walk out. Now, this is more observed in the breach than in actuality, and it was that kind of conduct in the Tshwane municipality that brought that municipality to its knees and resulted in it being put under administration.
Mm.
Okay. Right. Those are the shalts and the shalt nots.
Mm.
But there are other limitations. And that is a whole other lot of thou shalt nots.
Yes.
And there's a section called Intervention in Administration. A councillor may not, A, interfere in the management or administration of any department of the municipal council unless mandated by council. B, and this is the crucial one, give or purport to give any instruction to any employee of the council. C, obstruct or attempt to obstruct the implementation of any decision of the council or committee by an employee of that council. Or D, encourage or participate in any conduct which would cause or contribute to maladministration in the council. So let's suppose I'm a ward councillor and I get an anguished call from a resident in the ward which I represent. The sewer has burst and there's sewer running down the street. All I can ask him to do in the first instance is to report it to Johannesburg Water and get a reference number. And if the leak is not fixed within a reasonable time, he can come back to me and I can escalate it. Or I could escalate it. But it didn't give me any right to go into the office of any official or accost any official working on site and say, get on with it or I will kick your butt. I cannot do that.
So let me give you, let's try another example. If you're the ward councillor,
yeah,
and we report potholes in the road, there's 2 major potholes in the road, you see the Joburg Roads Agency guy fixing pothole A, you can't walk up to that truck. Say, I'm the ward councillor, you must also fix that pothole.
No, I can't do that.
Okay, right.
No, it's not the bureaucratic excuse in the system.
Yes.
It's not reported, it's not got a reference number.
Right.
And that official hasn't been instructed to fix the pothole next to it.
Okay.
Frustrating as it may seem, but that's the bureaucratic system. And it seems that they don't have any discretion to do the right thing when it's needed to do so. But we can deal with that when we look at the duties of officials.
We can also understand why that exists, because
Yes.
it stops excess. It stops the ward councillor from getting all the roads tarred outside his house,
Absolutely.
as opposed to what's in the best interest of the ward or the city or whatever.
Well, that has been done.
Yes. We know all about the roads in Nkandla. John,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah. Okay. So the ward councillor, if he's doing his job, he or her doing their job properly, have severe limitations. They're a little bit like the prefect at school.
Correct.
They can't run the school. They can't shout at the teacher. All they can do is raise the issue.
That's a very good analogy, Mike. I like it.
Okay. You can have it.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Anything else from your book of wisdom over here?
Well, there's also a code of conduct for municipal staff members.
Right.
Okay. General conduct. A staff member of a municipality must A, loyally execute the lawful policies of the council. Just bear in mind the word lawful.
Yes.
Okay. B, perform the functions of office in good faith, diligently, honestly, and transparently. Okay. C, act in the best interest of the municipality and in such a way that the credibility and integrity of the municipality are not compromised, and act impartially and treat all people, including other staff members, equally without favour or prejudice.
Okay. So if one takes the city of Tshwane at the moment, where a lot of the works have been diverted from Pretoria to other regions within Pretoria, that's being done as a political thing. The guy just gets his job saying, stop fixing up potholes in Waterkloof, go fix up potholes in Tembisa.
That's not a lawful instruction, but...
Yes, but it sort of ends there.
Yeah, well, not Tembisa, Mamelodi.
Mamelodi, yeah.
Your geography
My
is a bit
geography
out,
is
but
very bad.
never mind about that.
Yeah, this is a political geography class, right? But yes, but it's meant to stop that.
All right. Now, let's look at how Johannesburg is organized and administered.
The man comes with many books.
Yep. Now, Johannesburg is unique in this respect. It doesn't happen in any other municipality. All the entities which serve the city have been corporatized. So we have Metrobus, it's a company. We have City Power, it's a company. We have Johannesburg Water. We have Pick It Up. We have the Johannesburg Fresh Produce Market. We have Johannesburg Roads Agency. We have the Johannesburg Development Agency. That is the project manager for the city's capital projects. We have Johannesburg Property Company,
Yes,
which
that's
administered
the one that the woman steals the money out of.
Yeah, which administers the properties leased and owned by the city. And we have the Metropolitan Trading Company, which is a procurement agent for the city's IT equipment.
Now, that's, as I read it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that is the product of a good idea gone bad. The good idea being, we're not sure if we can trust this new government to run the city properly, therefore we'll privatize or semi-privatize these things. That was sort of the thinking in the 90s.
I'm not so sure about that, Mike, because I'm not so sure who we is.
Yes.
I mean, it is a form of semi-privatization, but we know that privatization was and remains an anathema to the ANC.
Yes.
It's only doing it now because it has no other choice. But let's look at these companies. All these companies have a board of directors. We have your usual executive directors, a CEO or managing director, a chief operating officer, a financial director, and then you have the non-executive directors. And in each of these 9 companies, there are 5 non-executive directors. And they each earn a monthly stipend for attending one board meeting. They're not supposed to have more than one board meeting a month unless for a good cause, so sometimes there's more than one board meeting, particularly in ones that render critical services like City Power, where it was necessary, in light of what was happening to our electricity, to have a multitude of board meetings. Now, they all earn 8,000 rand per meeting. And for all those 9 companies, the city is spending 4,320,000 rand a month on directors' fees. But it doesn't stop there. There are even more seats on the gravy train. They play the game of governance, and it's a game. In accordance with the King Code of Corporate Governance, each of them has a risk and audit committee of 5 people who earn the same. So these companies are costing the city 8,640,000 rand a year, which could be better spent on policemen, on nurses in clinics, on social workers, on town planning inspectors, and all those things. But we're not finished with the gravy train. Mike, have you ever heard of ward committees? You've heard of ward committees.
We have heard of ward committees, yes.
I'm sure most of your viewers haven't.
Yeah, they've all glazed over in here because we've heard of it, we don't tell us what it is.
Now, a ward committee is an elected office. Most people couldn't be bothered. They're elected after the municipal election, by which time everyone is cut full with elections, and who are these other bunch of jokers who we now have to elect? Well, there are 10 men and women who are supposed to represent the various sectors of society. And they don't quite match the 10 city portfolios, but there's women, there's people with disabilities.
All Donald Trump's favourite people.
Yeah, thank you for that. All Donald Trump's favourite people. Now, they earn a reimbursable allowance of 1,000 rand a month to cover taxi fares, cell phones and the like. Well, there are 135 wards in Johannesburg. Multiply that by 10. There are 1,350 ward committee members. So annually, those people cost the city 16,200,000 rand for attending one ward committee meeting a month. And Mike, I had to deal with one. My colleagues had to deal with one. They are talking shops. They are supposed to advise the councillor. But it begs the question, Mike, if you are advising somebody, you surely must know as much, if not more, than the person you are advising. They can go. We don't need them.
Yeah.
So, but let's look at councillors.
Yes.
In the city of Johannesburg, do you know how many councillors we have?
Tell me.
We have 270 councillors.
Yeah.
And in the other big metros, they're all around the 220 mark. Okay. Now, half of them are ward councillors, half of them are elected on the proportional representation list. The ward councillors are supposed to serve their people in the wards, where they've been turned into glorious core centres, and the PR councillors are supposed to serve on the portfolio and other oversight committees. A ward councillor, there are two types of councillors. There are full-time councillors and there are part-time councillors. There are 14 full-time councillors. They're the mayor, the speaker, the chief whip of council, and the members of the mayoral committee, and the other full-time councillors are the 14 chairpersons of the oversight committee. The ordinary part-time councillors earn a package of 43,000 a month. The other councillors earn more. The mayor earns about 1.2 million. The members of the mayoral committee earn round about 1 million. The speaker earns the same as the mayor. The chief whip of council earns the same as the mayor. Now, we are spending 132 million rand a year on those 270 councillors. I beg the question, are we getting our money's worth out of them? I would venture to say not.
Yeah.
And that's not the full cost to company.
Of course.
Because each one of those councillors gets a contribution towards a pension fund and a contribution towards medical aid. So it's actually more than 132 million. And Mike, I can tell you most of the councillors do not work. They come to council without having read their agendas. They come to the oversight committee meetings without having read their agendas. There are exceptions, and they're mainly the DA people. They actually do their homework. So I have to ask the question, why do we need 270 councillors in Johannesburg? Surely 100 could do as good a job, and if we had less, we could probably pay more and maybe get a better class of person to act as public representatives, although the examples we get in the provincial legislatures and in Parliament, where those people are very well paid, indicates that I might be whistling in the dark.
Yeah, there's no link between salaries and performance.
No.
Because the biggest problem, if people are sort of wondering why there's no link that can be made between salary and performance, is for the most basic reason. There seems to be no repercussion at all for not doing your job.
Correct.
I don't know in your time if you've seen any firings of councillors, if people are ever booted out in those public companies we understand they're always mired in controversy and corruption,
Yeah.
and then eventually I get a package, I get paid to leave. They
Well,
don't get fired.
I know of one councillor who resigned before getting booted out. You cannot fail to attend 3 council meetings without having sought leave of absence.
Okay.
This character didn't seek leave of absence and was kicked out. And ironically enough, it was a DA councillor. Our DA chief whip blew the whistle on this individual, and this individual was kicked out.
Okay. So now, John, it's then little sort of surprised that with all of these people on the payroll,
Yes.
we've got management being top heavy, but yet the traffic lights don't work. The street
Quite.
lights don't work, and we've got potholes all over the road. What is the resident to do other than to vote in a different ward councillor?
Mike, you've hit the nail on the head. We need to have different people with a different ethos, a different work ethic, and a different approach to what being a public representative means.
Okay, now, John, the structure which is so top heavy, you know, the old saying of turkeys not voting for Christmas, the people who occupy those hundreds and hundreds of well-paid positions are not going to volunteer to have this structure broken down.
No.
Is this structure imposed at provincial level, at national level, or at city level? You know, I'm saying if somebody came in here, like let's say we, appointed Mayor Javier Millet,
Yes.
and he decided to come in with a chainsaw and cut this down. Who is the person who could take the air out of this bloated system?
Mike, subject to our labour legislation, the mayor can do it when he prepares the budget. In terms of the Municipal Financial Management Act, the person responsible for preparing a budget is the mayor. So a ruthless and determined mayor could do all what Javier Millet does.
Right.
It's doable.
Okay, so then it begs the question, and you were there in both cases when there were DA mayors.
Yes.
Admittedly, not with a DA majority, but there were DA mayors. Herman Mashaba from 2016 to 2019, and Paul Palazzi around the post-2021 year.
Right.
Okay, you weren't there for that. But why did those DA mayors never tackle this issue?
Mike, they did. They did. We got rid of non-performing senior staff, and though Herman Mashaba in particular, and was then accused of victimizing black officials, but he did. It wasn't surrounded with a great deal of publicity, but he did. He got rid of them. He was not able to trim the bureaucracy to the necessary extent, but he certainly did get rid of non-performing officials.
Why could he not trim the bureaucracy?
Labour legislation.
So he couldn't.
They had